So my title is Yiddish Culture and Mainstream Radio's Golden Age. And it occurred to me this morning that that could be the title of an extremely thin book. From a little earlier in the 30s, 1936, Ed Wynn, like George Jessel, a Jewish comedian, had on his show Joseph Moskowitz, the great cymbalum virtuoso, who at that point had been entertaining in New York for close to 30 years. He owned a series of restaurants on the East Side and was quite well known. Got to record for Victor, that's from the Victor catalog of 1916, and he even pops up in Mike Gold's book, Jews Without Money. The only national radio appearance I know of by him is this from 1936. And as you'll hear, it sounds as though Ed Wynn had heard him at least once in his restaurant in New York and brought him on the show on the strength of that.
Say, Mr. Moskowitz,
Yes.
this cymbalum is very old and unusual instrument, isn't it?
Yes, but it's still used today in Hungarian. It's Romanian.
Ah.
The cymbalum I use dates back to the 17th century.
Your cymbalum dates back to the 17th century? My goodness, it should be nearly paid for by now, for heaven's sake. 17th century.
Mr. Moskowitz, have you always been a concert musician?
No, after coming to this country, I opened my own restaurant. Many famous people came to hear me play. For instance, Mr. Hellman, Charlie Chaplin, Theodore Dreiser, Tasha Seidel.
Tasha Seidel? The musician, Tasha Seidel? That name always reminds me of somebody ordering beer. Tasha Seidel, you know what I mean? You know, a friend of mine used to play the cymbals. You know, the cymbals in a band. Not the cymbalum, the cymbals. He played the cymbals until 1929. Then came the crash. You know what I mean? Well, I know everybody wants to hear you play the cymbalum, and I'd like you to play your own composition, like you did for me the night I played Tadja, Mr. Moskowitz. Would you do that?
Yeah, very well, I will play too. I will play you two Oriental movements composed for myself.
Yeah, well, come over here and play them. Go ahead. Let me hear him. Graham, where did you hear this fella? He's the greatest cymbalum player in the world. Where did you hear him? I'm going to listen.
Joseph Moskowitz, who ended his career here in Washington, D.C., spent the last 10 years of his life here, died in 1954, and apparently was the regular musical entertainment at a restaurant in DuPont Circle. I wish we all could have been there, I'm sure.